Hello, beautiful beings of light. As light beings, we are here to let the light come through, come in, purify, uplift, brighten, bring back to its natural nature, its natural state. That is what we came here for, right? If you remember. So here we are, and most of us we are our aperture is kind of narrow, where we normally would be here shining the light through. We have been conditioned and programmed, all the things that we always talk about here, to really close, to narrow, to close our aperture to the point for many where there's barely any light coming through. And we're going to look at what is this aperture? How come the light doesn't just shine through? Because the light, the divine, is everywhere all the time. And for some reason, it's not shining through us in the way that we want it to, where we will start experiencing, of course, the fullness of the light. But we're not. Let's face it, most of us are not, because this opening where it would normally just shine through every pore, every cell, every movement, every action, because we are that light. We cannot be anything other than that. We are made of light. We are made of the divine. We are that. But as long as we have this closed, tight, very, very tiny aperture, we're not experiencing it. That doesn't mean that it's not here or there. It just means that we are not experiencing it, because you can't experience something when you basically look away from it or tell yourself a story, which is what we've talked about, the previous many videos, that we basically have this false, limiting identity that we are fully identified with. So, an example, right? This is where we're trying to manifest in whatever way we do that. And we do all the work, and it can't get through, because it can't get through this tiny, tiny, tiny hole. If you want the full abundance of life, there has to be some space for it to come through. So it is our responsibility to do whatever it takes to open that up so we can receive. So, yes, it all comes down to receiving and being open to it, being able to transmute it, shine it, radiate it, ooze it, my favorite word. But we have to be open so it can come through. If not, it's still everywhere, even inside of us. But every cell of us is responding to that limited identity. And that's why in our physical manifestation of that, we experience ourselves and our life as limited. No matter how much hard work you do, whether it's efforting, working harder, doing more affirmations, doing more visualizations, it has to reach the core of where the light is. Only your light, your divine light, your I am presence in its purity is able to shine that and become that and manifest that in this dimension. So, if we don't address this core identity, which I've been speaking about lately, the light is not going to come through. We need to know what it is. So let's say, you're working on manifesting, abundance in whatever area of your life. You do it and you're all excited about it. But underneath, there's this like, it's never going to happen to me. I am somebody who will never experience that. I am somebody who doesn't have what it takes. I'm somebody who is too old, to this, to that. That is the core of the aperture that closes your ability to receive it and to transmute it and to ooze it. If we don't come back to that core frequency of our identity, not much is going to change. And I definitely speak from my own experience here. But as we start realizing that, and that's why I think it is very important that we find out what is the flavor, what is the closedness of the aperture of our I am presence. And then we can start addressing it. So a few videos ago, you can see it here, if you click on that link, I talked about to first basically make a list or really become aware of what your current identity is, your current I am experience. Once we know what that is, then we can start opening the aperture by taking the steps that I also talked about in these videos to open it. So, for instance, one I talked about is, it doesn't feel safe to fully open up to receiving. What's going to happen? It's going to go away again. That's a big one. I had a big one of that. And I'm really working at the deeper core on that. Like, it's just going to go away. It may come and then it goes away. And then there is an automatic closing of the aperture. So we need to know what it is. And in that, we can start saying these things like, I am somebody who feels safe to start receiving more. Right? I'm somebody who feels safe to open up my aperture, to soften the contractions and the density around my I am presence experience, right? You can't squash your I am presence. It's impossible because it's who you are, it's all you are, and it's all everything is. But we can squash our experience of it. And I think it's a very important distinction that we are actually doing something to make this happen. And since we are the ones doing it, we have the same power to undo it. And that's why I've been giving some steps to move from here to here, or from here to here, and from here to allow more light out. And who knows what's going to show up in your life. But we have to know what it is, and we have to consciously start softening this contracted opening to both receive for ourselves and to receive and express to everything around us, the whole world, the whole planet. It's just because the aperture, the closed aperture, shows us a framework everywhere, both in ourselves and outside of ourselves, as evidence of this. So we're not seeing the fullness of who we are or what the world is. We're seeing the evidence of our closed aperture, and therefore we are saying it's never going to happen to me because I keep trying and I've done this and I've done this. This is my story, my friends. and nothing changes because I had not changed the energy behind the aperture so it can start opening, so I can actually see what already is here. And it's not that it's for me, it's for everything and everybody. But when I personalize it and say, oh, it's not for me, right? Then I've personalized it. And the light is not personal, it's impersonal. It shines everywhere, on everyone, all the time. So we need to move from that personalizing it into a negative, a contracted state. We need to basically realize this is not personal. This is not me. This is my past experience. And I think also to really realize that your experience is just, a conglomeration of past experiences. I talked about it's like this tube that just keeps feeding us and feeding us this negativity and this limitation and this survival strategies. And as long as we keep turning our attention to it and engaging and feeding and basically let ourselves be fed by it, that's our experience. So the next step is to really begin to open our aperture so we can see more. The more we know what this closeness is made of, we can little by little open it up just a little bit at a time. So, and then when we do, more light comes in just naturally. You don't need to bring in the light. It's just when you open the aperture, it cannot not come through. And that's where one of my favorite funny quotes is, God abhors a vacuum. The light abhors a vacuum, right? When you are in a dark room, you're not trying to manifest light. You just open the door or the window or the curtains, and right away there's light, right? So it's the same for us. If we use that metaphor that God or light abhors a vacuum, and that's why it just comes rushing in. As soon as we open the curtains, as soon as we open our aperture, boom, there it is. So whatever needs to be done to soften this contracted state of our receiving, expressing apparatus, we naturally bring in light and start shining it. And that light, that divinity, same thing, that is what now shows itself as the infinity, the abundance, the fulfillment of itself. And that will show up as whatever needs we have. So it's really so important to lean back and become aware of this contraction and start letting it go. And then little by little, more light will just naturally come through. It is unavoidable, but it takes time because we have so many of these contracted layers. So one thing that is kind of tempting, when you start doing the work, you might go like, oh, wow. And then right away, you start looking for some changes in the world, right? Oh, no, it's not there yet. That is because you're still looking through a belief, a contraction, believing that it's going to show up there without it being fully embraced and identified with our true I am presence. So there's still a tendency to move away from this and looking for it out there. Then we're still in the old past, believing that it's going to happen out there. The trick and maybe the challenge for us all is to just stay here and not worry about that. Not worry about it. if you are worrying about it, and if you don't see it manifesting, try and tell yourself, okay, there is still some closed aperture because it's not there yet. So you keep working on softening, opening, walking around as somebody who, and then you put behind it, is at peace, is fully abundant, is safe to receive. Keep doing that. Don't give up halfway through or 10% in or even 90%. God forbid. You're so close, right? It's like, no, it's not there yet. Oh, I'm going to stop. I'm going to throw in the towel. That is the only reason. That's the only reason that it's not showing up in your life, because you're not, you give up before this is open enough to show itself as the abundance or fulfillment that you're looking for. So maybe a good piece of advice for all of us is don't give up. Stay with it. Make it a daily practice, a daily routine, a daily joyful expression to be somebody who, and then you can add to it if the steps to get all the way out, and that may take a while. That's why don't give up. Doing it one time and you don't see, it's like, oh, it's not working. No, because it's still fully closed, right? Even that belief, oh, it's never going to happen, that's a very, very important part to be aware of, because that is the past saying that. Your I am would never say that because it doesn't make sense in here. So please don't give up. Stay with it and go through all the steps until you start seeing the light. But you will feel it, and the feeling is much more important than seeing it, because when you feel it, you are the light, and the light knows what to do. You just stay with it. Show me. Keep moving. Keep clearing, right? Don't give up. Keep at it. Now, as I always say at the end, if you need help with this, and we all do, some kind of motivation, some kind of coaching, some kind of support, some kind of skills to be present with what we normally just, bypass. If you bypass it, that means that this is still closed, you know. So you need to be able to fully be present with it and let it open so you can stay with that light, your longing, without closing up again. So please reach out if you need some one-on-one support. You can sign up for a self-discovery session with me, and then we can see where you want to take it and if we are a good match to work with this together. Please give it a chance every day, many times a day. Make it so that you literally become that identity in a felt sense, not here, in a felt sense. So when you get up in the morning, you remind yourself, like, oh yeah, I'm somebody who, you stay with that. You feel it. You might even remember a time where you were that. So you let yourself kind of be nourished by it so that your I am presence can start connecting with that reality without the past. My friends, please like, subscribe, share, and comment below. I'd love to hear from you.